The seventh presenter, Ms. Miyata Kaho. Her choice is Theme 1. Please start.
Hello, my name is Kaho Miyata. I'm going to propose a new education system in Japan for the future generation. Please think back to the table. Do you remember going and see the cherry blossoms? Most people would say no. Why? Because at that time, coronavirus threatens our daily lives, and we have experienced great loss. Many students cannot go to school and cannot meet their friends. However, we can see other possibilities and future opportunities because of coronavirus. Now, it is time to look for new prospects. Why don't we think about future of education together? As a new education system, I propose a combination of traditional learning and online learning because this pandemic made us realize both learning styles have their own benefits. In this presentation, I will suggest how the system works and how it benefits Japanese students. But first of all, what do we need to achieve this learning style? Yes, it is necessary to provide ICT devices and means to use them. Do you know what ICT is? ICT means information and communication technology. Example of ICT devices are computer, tablets, iPhone, which facilitates the interaction with the digital world. So I have a question. Is it possible to distribute and use ICT devices in Japan today? Please look at this graph. It shows the percentage of teachers who use ICT devices in the classroom. Please look at Japan's rate. Only 70.9% of teachers use ICT devices in the classroom. It is the lowest among OECD countries. Also, when we look at ICT utilization rate in school and out of school from 2009 to 2018, the rate in Japan has not changed through the year. Therefore, in the coronavirus situation, some school has not been ready for using ICT devices. So, how to overcome this situation? In 2019, the Ministry of Education suggested GIGA School concept. GIGA means Global and Innovation Gateway for All. It aims for one device for each student. In this concept, they decided to invest 180 billion yen per year from 2018 to 2022 for ICT devices, Wi-Fi networks, and ICT technicians to school and houses to ensure student learning environment. Therefore, students can get ICT devices even in poor families. Also in this concept, teacher will participate in training and seminar which provide ICT skills in the classroom. The educator of this training can be ICT technicians who are sent by government, companies, and NPOs which provide ICT devices to schools. And after that, teacher will instruct their student on ICT skills and information ethics. Therefore, I believe that distribution of ICT devices and teaching ICT skills is feasible. So next, my target audience. My target age groups are middle and high school students because they have capacity to handle ICT devices and understand information ethics. So let's move on to the main content of the systems. I propose a new education system from 3 perspectives. First, how to conduct classes. Second, how to communicate with students. And last, how to build a variety of networks. My first suggestion. I suggest flipped learning to conduct classes, which has already been introduced in some California schools and has a positive impact on student performance. In flipped learning, students can listen to lectures at home and share and discuss their ideas with their friends in the classroom. So what are the benefits of flipped learning? Students can learn at their own pace. Students can study anytime and anywhere. And it encourages active learning. Because in a traditional classroom, students mostly listen to teachers' lectures to get information. However, students can get ICT devices, they can get new information by themselves. Therefore, in the classroom, they can have much deeper discussion with their friends, and it encourages active learning. Next. So let's move on to my second suggestion. I suggest student online support system to assist students and parents more and reduce teacher stress. Finland has created a Wilma, a web-based public information system, and made information transparent for students and their parents. So this is an example of how the system works. Teachers and parents can always check students' grade, homework, attendance, and mental conditions. So how the system functions? First, teacher will type students' information, and students and parents can see it on their devices. If they have some concerns, they can contact or email their teachers. After that, teachers and counselors talk to students in person and try to solve problems which students have. And again, teacher will report students' condition. So what are the benefits of these systems? First, teachers share student information with parents easily. Second, parents feel relief to see children's information anytime. And last, students are more likely to open up and be honest about their struggle with the help of ICT devices. So let's move on to my third suggestion. Lastly, I offer a program for building a relationship between students and foreigners and students and workers all over Japan. My first suggestion is international exchange using ICT devices, because many students cannot afford to go abroad, and in some situations, such as coronavirus, they cannot go to other countries. However, in this program, Japanese school and overseas school become partners and connect their students with ICT devices and share each country's culture and values. After that, students will discuss and share what they learned in these programs. It improves students' English skills and also it broadens students' perspectives. My second suggestion is interacting with workers all over Japan. In these programs, school can access a huge database which introduces a various kind of job from Hokkaido to Okinawa, and students can see it on their devices and experience if they are interested in. For example, if students click glass worker, students can see job description, job introduction video, and students can sign up for tour and trials if they are interested in. As a result, it gives students to think about their future job and their interest. And if students think they want to work at some jobs thanks to these programs, in the future, it might revitalize declining community and industry. Therefore, it benefits both students and workers all over Japan. These are the programs I want to introduce as a new educational system. So in conclusion, what does this system give students? First, it maximizes each student's personality. Second, it provides a comfortable learning environment. And last, it broadens students' perspectives and gives students opportunity to think about their future. Each child has a unique personality. Some children prefer traditional learning, but some prefer to stay home and take online courses. But there is no best option for here. The best option for a child is to be in an environment where they learn the best. Therefore, we should provide suitable education for each child to expand their possibility. Let's support future children together, because education is necessary for everyone, and it creates the foundation of each child's life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Miyata. Now we're going to the question and answer session. Judges, please.
Thank you so much. This is Shigeru Miyagawa coming in from Boston. I enjoyed your presentation very much. I work in the field of online education here at MIT, so I particularly was interested in all of the things that you said. And I also agree with you that this pandemic is a fluctuation point. It's a very important point, time in the history of education. A lot of things are going to change, and online education is going to be a crucial aspect, even after we go back after the pandemic. So let me ask you some questions. You listed some interesting features of your proposal, and I agree with all three: flipped class, and then this network of parents, students, and teachers, and then this virtual international exchange. All are very interesting ideas. But let me ask you, you mentioned flipped class, and then you listed three different things: active learning, own pace, and you can do this anywhere. What I'm familiar with flipped class is, yes, it's active learning, but I'm not familiar with the idea of own pace and learning anywhere associated with flipped class. So could you explain a little bit more what you mean by flipped class and own pace and learning anywhere that flipped class allows?
So thank you for your question. So about in flipped learning, students listen to teachers' lectures at home. However, in a traditional classroom, students listen to lectures at classes. And in this case, if some student cannot catch up with the contents of lectures, it is difficult to say, I cannot catch up with the lecture because there are many students in here and they hesitate to speak up. And also from the perspective of teacher, it is difficult to find each student's progress. However, in a flipped learning, students can learn and listen to lectures at home. Therefore, if students cannot catch up with the content, they can review many times at their own pace. So I said it leads to they can learn at their own pace. And also anytime and anywhere is that in a traditional classroom, students mostly listen to lectures at classroom. It's a traditional one. But if some students are very busy, they can listen to lectures at train, for example. So that's why I said they can listen to lectures anytime and anywhere. Is that
okay? Thank you. Just a follow-up question then. You referred to the OECD survey that showed that Japan has a very low penetration of ICTs in the schools. There's a more recent OECD survey that looked at about 90 countries. And of course, it looked at availability of computers at home and Wi-Fi, but there's a third element they looked at, and that is availability of a quiet space to study, which is crucial for studying at home. It turns out that Japan also is not very highly ranked when it comes to availability of quiet space at home to study with a computer. And that's going to be a real issue for you. Are you familiar with this problem, and how would you suggest addressing this issue?
So thank you for your question. Yes, I think it's a very important point I have to consider because for some students, we cannot give our comfortable environment to listen to lectures at home, or because they cannot get our quiet learning place. So in this case, for that student, other schools, they can provide some learning room for students to listen to lectures in a quiet environment. So I think it is important for teachers to ask each student, are you comfortable? Can you get our comfortable learning environment? And if students say they cannot get comfortable learning environment at home, I think other teachers, they have to provide a comfortable learning environment so that students can listen to lectures so carefree.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more question from our second judge.
Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. I thought it was really informative, and you have a lot of interesting suggestions. I agree a lot with your main concept of combining the traditional learning with the online, the ICT thing. But my question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like your conclusion was that you said it's good to provide sufficient environment for all the students, like each and every student. Does that mean that who wants to study more at home can do that? And I mean, what do you think is a good mixture of like traditional learning and ICT? Do you think students should have a choice, or do you think the school should take this balance? And how do you think it should be structured?
Thank you for your question. So in an ideal way, I think if students can decide the suitable education for each child, I think it's very ideal way. So my presentation is very like first step for students to decide like, what kind of education is suitable. That's why I said our combination of traditional learning and online learning. And the reason why I come up with a combination of traditional learning and online learning is because both learning style has their own benefits. So yes, in a coronavirus situation, online learning is very effective because students can get enough education, and also they can share information with parents or students so easily. But on the other hand, traditional learning, we can realize traditional learning has also benefit. For example, we can meet directly students, or we can feel relieved when we meet teachers or students face to face. So that's why I want to maximize each educational systems. That's why I propose this learning style. Is that correct?
You spoke about this platform where you can connect students and teachers and the families, and I think it's a very good idea, but it's also very time-consuming for the teachers, I think, if you have 30 kids in the class and you have to do that for each children. So do you think it's feasible?
So thank you for your question. Yes, I think our teachers are very busy, and sometimes it is very difficult to talk to each student. But I think, yes, at first it's very difficult for teachers to get ICT skills and use it, but as a result, I think it reduced to teachers' burdens. For example, students don't have to print out our school newsletter or homework every time they want to hand out to the student. If they use ICT devices, they can just share the school newsletter or homework with parents or students easily. And about also the student online support systems, if they can use that system, if they have some problems, they can share that information with parents, students so easily. But in a current situation, they have to meet every time or call every time when they want to share some information with parents. So yes, it seems like a big burden for teachers, but I think in a long run, if teachers get used to using them, I think it reduces to teachers' stress as a result.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges. Now let's go to the audience. We have one similar question from the audience. What do you think is the biggest challenge for teachers when implementing this system?
So thank you for your question. Yes, I think so the reason why our ICT devices are, one of the reasons why that ICT device is not common in Japan is that teachers cannot understand how to use ICT devices and skills in the classroom effectively. So that's why I think the most challenging point for teachers is that they have to acknowledge how to use ICT skills, and also they get some skills to instruct their students on ICT skills and information ethics. So as a teacher, we have to get that kind of information.
I see. Thank you very much, Ms. Miyata. Wonderful presentation.
ありがとうございました。